Day 20 of the lockdown. Jared, let's talk about preparedness today, or how prepared can one be for a crisis like this that is unprecedented, uncertain, and unfathomable to everyone involved.
I'll twamp and twudge and twamp until I make my pile.
Now, I understand that there are those of you all who think
भूचाल आ जाएगा, सनसनी फैल जाएगी उन लोगों में
जो इसके लिए तैयार नहीं थे, और वो लोग जो
समझे खैनी.
I don't think this is about how much you understand about the situation or how well you preempted it or how well you were prepared for it in the absence of information or in the absence of so many conflicting sources of information. I think this is more about how you respond to it rather than how prepared you were for it.
Explain this.
Explain करना है.
Now, preparation is an evolving state, but it's also an endless one. How prepared is to be completely prepared or optimally prepared or fully prepared in a way that satisfies all these standards and all this long winded propaganda about how one must prepare for something. So, for example, if you're preparing for a marathon, how many kilometers do you need to run in total before you're ready to run your first marathon? Or how prepared are you before you first start cooking? How many recipe videos do you have to see, or do you need to go to culinary school? Or do you need someone to handhold you through the process? Or how prepared are you before you ask a woman out or a guy out? So preparation can be its own puzzle to solve, but can also be like a maze. And sometimes it's difficult to escape the maze on a timeline that you set. So how prepared is too prepared? How prepared is little prepared? And how prepared is not prepared at all? These are questions you may find yourself asking yourself.
What?
इतनी तो समझ आ गई है मुझे.
Everyone's worried about whether they know enough, whether they're doing enough, whether what they're doing is being done at an optimal speed, whether that speed is going to actually yield the results that they want for themselves. Everyone's worried about preparing. Do we have enough food? Do we have enough things to do? Do we have enough stuff we want to learn? Do we have enough books to read? Do we have enough movies to see? Do we have enough shows that we can complete on Netflix? Do we have enough of having enough? Do you see how the panic begins? Now, despite what school of thought you represent or which conspiracy theory you may or may not be following, even the Chinese, and I'm saying this as an individual, as someone who has lived and worked with the Chinese, I don't think even the Chinese had predicted that something like this would happen. So even they were not prepared, and safe to say all the world's economies and businesses and families and societies and communities were caught quite literally with their pants down.
I'm not responsible for your assumption.
I think for the first time in history, we were all caught collectively off guard, unable to fix it, unable to curtail it, unable to understand it, unable to cure it, unable to figure out a vaccination for it. Which brings me to the philosophical question that this begs. Will we ever be completely ready, completely geared up, suited up, and fully prepared for the various threats that wait for us in this world? Now we are looking at a pandemic as a threat. What about the threat of losing your job, the threat of losing a loved one, losing a relationship, losing something valuable that you paid a lot of money for? Sometimes people could also lose their reputations, could even lose entire businesses and entire market segments. How prepared are we really prepared for anything that happens in our life that leaves an unpleasant aftertaste? Despite our most sincere efforts to hold on to these things, despite our most honest efforts to do what we can to salvage and protect the integrity of these things,
अपना अपना ख्याल है.
तो ख्याल ये है कि ख्याल रखिए, नॉस्ट्राडामस बनने की कोशिश मत कीजिए, क्योंकि आपकी जिंदगी में कभी भी ऐसा वक्त नहीं आएगा जब आप फ्यूचर प्रिडिक्ट कर सकते हैं.
हाँ जी,
हाँ जी,
ना जी,
और हाँ जी,
हाँ जी.
So these questions basically become redundant. What are these questions? Why didn't I know this? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I prepare for this? Why didn't I see this coming from a mile away? Why didn't I act according to what I thought would happen and then see what I thought would happen did happen? Why didn't I ever wonder what I will do once a situation like this happens? Why? Stop getting into this trap of why. It's an endless trap, and you can spend an entire day, month, year, and decade wondering why you didn't do things that you thought you were supposed to do in preparation for a calamity, in preparation for something that you are clearly out of your depths in trying to handle. Don't go there. Do not go down that rabbit hole. The truth is that you will never be fully prepared for anything. You will always be limited by two things: your imagination and your experience. Wait, I think it's more than two things.
सुनाई दिया?
You will also be limited by your habits and the various beliefs that you have made your own as a part of the conditioning you've received. You will also be limited by time, because time is the only real currency, as I say. You may need more time to be able to get a more holistic and a more complete picture of a situation. So, hey, given that, how prepared are you really going to be?
I couldn't understand. Please try to explain. मैं क्या पाजी? I don't know. Oh, पाजी, I know you don't know, but still explain.
To simply explain this, there is never enough information, there's never enough time, and there are never enough resources for us to make a decision. So we have to guess, use our experience, use the limited resources that we may have at our disposal, and we have to make a decision one way or the other. Otherwise, the circumstances decide for us, which is not exactly the way to control the narrative. But hey, even if you try to control the narrative, it is entirely possible that there are unpleasant surprises lurking behind the curtains.
मुझे सब है पता.
So how prepared you are is not important anymore. Do you get what I'm going here?
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened. Nonsense.
How you respond is more important, because there will always be situations in life where, despite all that you have tried to do to insulate and protect yourself from it, the situation itself dictates a certain degree of quickness and a certain degree of flexibility on your part, so that even though you did not prepare, because you did not see it coming, you did not know how it was going to pan out, you still have the resolve, the wits, and the stamina to hold your own through the situation. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Ask yourself what you can do in the present tense to fortify yourself, to protect yourself, rather than getting into this retrospective and overtly introspective line of thinking. Could I have done better? Should I have done better? Would I have done better? Am I doing better? Yes, am I doing better? That's the question, not the previous three. So stay grounded and know that nobody is ever 100% prepared for anything. So you don't need to beat yourself up. You'll never have everything, you'll never control everything, and you'll never know everything. So don't try to stay ahead. Try to stay afloat. And
Exit, station left.